The story of my English learning journey is a classic tale of a non-native speaker chasing fluency. I've spent thousands of hours in classrooms, watched countless movies with subtitles, and even moved to London for a year. I've made progress, sure, but the road has been bumpy. Looking back, I can pinpoint 5 major mistakes I made. Mistakes that, if you're anything like me, you're probably making right now. My first mistake was thinking I had to speak like a native speaker. I was obsessed with sounding British or American. I spent hours trying to perfect my R's and T's, and it drove me crazy. This obsession with perfect pronunciation made me self-conscious and hesitant to speak. I was so worried about how I sounded that I'd freeze up in conversations. The moment I let go of that impossible goal and just focused on being understood, my confidence soared. The second mistake was only practicing my listening and reading. I was a master of passive learning. I could understand the dialogue in a movie and read a context news article, but when it came time to actually speak, I was lost. I was building a huge reservoir of knowledge, but I had no outlet for it. The truth is, speaking is a skill you have to practice actively. You can't just absorb it through osmosis. I had to force myself into uncomfortable situations, ordering coffee, asking for directions, making small talk with strangers. That's when I truly started to improve. Mistake number 3 was translating everything in my head. My brain was a constant real-time translation machine. I'd hear a phrase in English, translate it into my native language, think of a response in my language, and then translate it back into English. It was an exhausting and slow process. I'd often miss the nuance and natural flow of the conversation. The key was to start thinking in English. I began narrating my day to myself in English, describing the things I saw on the street or the tasks I was doing. It felt strange at first, but it trained my brain to stop relying on translation. The fourth mistake I made was worrying about making mistakes. This one held me back for years. I was terrified of saying the wrong word or using the wrong grammar. I'd spent so long crafting the perfect sentence in my head that the conversation would move on without me. I'd see a friend talking to someone and want to join in, but the fear of messing up was a brick wall. But here's the secret. Everyone makes mistakes. Native speakers do it all the time. The goal isn't perfection, it's communication. Once I accepted that mistakes are a part of the learning process, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. My final mistake was not taking my hobbies seriously. I'm a huge football fan and love video games. For years, I kept these things separate from my English learning. I'd study from textbooks and articles I found boring, and then in my free time, I'd watch my favorite team's highlights or play a game in my native language. This was a huge missed opportunity. The moment I started watching football with English commentary and playing games with the English voiceovers, learning became fun. I was motivated to understand what the commentators were saying or what the characters were yelling. It didn't feel like studying anymore. Looking back, these aren't just mistakes. They're valuable lessons. They taught me that the path to fluency isn't about memorizing rules or sounding perfect. It's about being brave, being active, and most of all, finding joy in the process.